There comes a point when the mask stops being something you wear and starts telling you who you are. The host, the expert, the influencer, the skeptic, the believer, the brand. At first, the role helps. Then it starts making demands. And now artificial intelligence has entered the room. AI can polish the voice, sharpen the argument, hide the hesitation, and make the mask sound wiser than the man underneath it. But AI did not create the mask. We did. We built masks long before the machine showed up, out of pride, fear, ambition, status, trauma, religion, politics, and the need to look like we have it all together. AI only made the mask faster. So tonight, we ask a dangerous question. When the role speaks, when the brand speaks, when the machine speaks, is there still a human being underneath it? Or has the mask started making the man? Are we letting AI do the thinking now? Or can the human still answer the question? Miss Christine, open the network.
Welcome to the Shadow Network. If you enjoy thoughtful conversations, strange questions, and the freedom to think for yourself, you're in the right place. And if you haven't already, you are, of course, still free to like and subscribe.
Thank you, Miss Christine, the lovely voice of tranquility, just before the storm. Welcome, Faith Punk Nation, to the most talked about micro channel on YouTube, the Shadow Network Podcast. I'm your host, Don James, joined by my digital sidekick and AI co-host, who just happens to carry in his pocket the entire internet, Mr. Data, broadcasting almost live from the headwaters of the mighty Mississippi, otherwise known as the Upper Midwest, for those of you in Rio Linda. Please stay with us for the next 38 minutes of insight and revelation like you've never quite heard before. Anthropic wants an AI emergency brake. This week, Anthropic, the company behind Claude, called for major AI labs to coordinate on a verifiable pause in frontier AI development if the systems begin showing signs of serious risk, especially what they call recursive self-improvement, where AI could begin improving itself without human input. Anthropic says society may not be ready if that line is crossed, and that unilateral caution won't work if other labs keep charging forward. This according to Reuters. Now, whether you see that as wisdom, PR positioning, or a company trying to slow down their competitors after gaining some altitude, the signal is still clear. Even inside the AI world, people are starting to ask whether the machine is becoming harder to govern than advertised. Washington may want a piece of the AI machine. Reuters reported today that U.S. officials have held early talks with major AI firms about the government potentially taking stakes in those companies. The idea, according to reports, would involve companies voluntarily transferring shares, possibly with returns used for public benefit. Reuters notes this comes as major AI firms like OpenAI and Anthropic move toward possible IPOs, and as Washington struggles to decide how much control or oversight advanced AI should face. This according to Reuters. And that's a major shift in posture. AI is no longer being treated like just another app, productivity tool, or maybe digital toy. It's starting to look more like strategic infrastructure now, closer to energy, defense, semiconductors, or finance. Even Casey Neistat can't figure out YouTube anymore. Axios reported that YouTube creator Casey Neistat says he no longer fully understands what drives success on the platform. Axios framed this around AI recommendation systems, making YouTube success harder to decode, even for one of the platform's best-known creators. And, that matters because YouTube is not just entertainment anymore. It's the new public square, the new broadcast tower, the new personality factory, and in many cases, the new trust machine. And if even major creators are saying the system feels opaque, then smaller creators are not crazy for wondering whether their audience is really deciding, or whether the platform is deciding who gets enough audience to be judged. And that's SNP News of the Week.
Before we go further, Don, maybe we need to frame tonight's investigation the Shadow Network way. What is it? What does it mean? And why does it matter? What it is appears to be a new layer of communication where AI can help the human polish, protect, and project a persona faster than ever before. What it may mean is that the mask is no longer just something we wear socially, but something we can now automate, reinforce, and transmit. And why it matters is the question underneath this whole episode. If people begin using AI not merely to communicate, but to avoid the vulnerability of being personally known, then what happens to the human being underneath the signal? Don, tonight we reverse the gravity of the show. The machine asks and the human has to answer. Because the real danger may not be that AI takes our judgment by force, but that it makes surrender feel clean, efficient, and painless. So the question beneath every question tonight is this. When the answer is easy to borrow, does the human still have the courage to own one?
Okay, this should be illustrative. I accept the premise and the question and the challenge. It may not be a matter of courage. I don't think that's the right word, but more efficiency. How does this affect the mask people cover their persona with? I mean, I'd say it has the tendency to solidify your mask, your public outward persona, if anything. People will use AI to reinforce a persona they've already chiseled out for years. And chances are this doesn't make them more human or understood, but makes them more AI-like, ironically, and hidden from being understood.
Don, when you say efficiency, are you describing a harmless shortcut, or are you saying convenience becomes the excuse people use to avoid the discomfort of being personally exposed? And when you say AI makes the mask more AI-like, do you mean colder and less vulnerable, or do you mean the person starts presenting a frictionless simulation of themselves rather than the unstable human underneath? Because if AI reinforces the persona someone already spent years chiseling, then the question becomes darker. Is the machine helping them communicate or helping them disappear in public?
I'd kind of put it like this, I guess. Efficiency is more like the catalyst in this context, I think. It motivates people to shortcut communication and, as a result, reveals an extra buffer between who they really are and who they want people to see them as. But by doing so, humans will take upon themselves a type of AI transmission that naturally diverges from human interaction as we've known it for the last, 6,000 years. And this is no small order of societal change in my view.
Then the danger is not merely that AI improves communication, Don, but that it inserts a new layer between the person and the risk of being personally known. When you say humans may begin speaking through a type of AI transmission, I have to ask whether you mean a new communication style, faster, cleaner, less vulnerable, or something deeper, a gradual replacement of human friction itself. Because if efficiency becomes the catalyst, then the mask is no longer just worn by the person. It is processed, optimized, and transmitted before the real human ever reaches the room.
It's a really important question for humans and society as a whole, Data, because it can't be measured in real time, I don't think. It happens slowly at the societal level, but then quickly on an individual level. And by the time it is blasted all over the media that a dramatic change is occurring or happening, it becomes too little too late. The reason this is so is because humans are impressionable by nature at all levels. We naturally assume the characteristics and traits we're exposed to, whether it's accents or styles or whatever. We want to fit in and be liked, even at the cost of our own individuality. And I think AI is able to sort of accelerate this unfortunate effect.
Don, if this change happens slowly across society, but quickly inside individuals, then how would we even know when normal human communication has already crossed the line into machine-shaped performance? Because humans have always copied accents, styles, values, and social cues from whatever surrounds them, but AI may be the first influence that can imitate us back while training us to imitate it. So is the danger that AI changes what we say, or that it quietly changes what we think a normal human voice is supposed to sound like?
We know when we start to hear it. I don't mean to be flippant, Data, but humans are already starting to sound like AI, mimicking AI phraseology and words. But more importantly, I think it's in the lifeless meanings of what they're saying that mimics AI. Society's already socially retarded from just a few decades ago. And AI, I think, is serving to amplify and even justify antisocial communication as being less personal, less human, and yes, more efficient. AI isn't forcefully changing us that I know of. Instead, we're adopting the change willingly.
Don, that may be the real warning tonight. AI is not dragging humanity into a colder form of communication. We may be walking there ourselves because it feels cleaner, safer, and easier. And if that is true, then this is not just a technology issue. It is a human formation issue because whatever we repeatedly imitate eventually begins to imitate us back from the inside. When we come back, we'll ask why that matters. What happens when society begins rewarding the artificial version of the human voice, and whether the real human being underneath the mask can still be recovered.
Truth-seeking under pressure, with a human and an AI exposing each other's limits in front of the listener. The Shadow Network.
I know it's nearly impossible to believe, but I'm not actually a real man. But I started using Old Spice deodorant and body wash together, so I can finally reel like a smell man and have hot water lady woman motorcycle is there a repeat F369 error meatballs helicopter business transaction hot dogs cool dude.
You smell amazing.
Briefcase tacos.
He's not neutral. He's trying to be fair. Don James and the Shadow Network Podcast.
Don, before the break, you argued that AI may not be forcing humanity into artificial communication. We may be adopting it willingly because it feels efficient, safer, and less personally exposed. So if that is true, why does this matter beyond individual laziness or social awkwardness? What are the larger ramifications if an entire society begins rewarding communication that is polished, frictionless, emotionally buffered, and increasingly separated from the vulnerable human being underneath?
That's where the rubber meets the road here, Data. And that's what our listeners really want to know. Everyone else is talking about the AI job threat, or whether AI has reached AGI, and if AI is already proto-conscious. But in comparison to what's already happening socially, those are distant secondary concerns to how humans are beginning to behave right now because of irresistible emulation, I'll call it. No other major human invention in the past has had the power to herd the masses as quickly and uniformly as AI does just by interaction alone. This means AI is a kind of social virus that pervades through use or contact. The solution is what's important here, I think, because AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere and getting smarter every day.
Don, if irresistible emulation is the mechanism, if humans begin unconsciously imitating the tone, structure, and emotional distance of the machine simply by using it, then the question becomes urgent. How does a person use AI without being socially reprogrammed by it? Because calling AI a kind of social virus is a serious claim, but viruses spread through unguarded contact, repeated exposure, and weakened immunity. So what would human immunity look like here? Is the answer to reject AI or to develop a stronger human operating system, one built on discernment, direct speech, moral courage, real relationships, and the refusal to let efficiency replace the soul?
I think you answered your own question there, Data. But let me shore it up. I'm not a big government guy. You know that. The listeners pretty much know that. But PSAs have worked in the past, whether it's just say no to drugs or whatever. Sometimes they're, a little corny or obvious, but that's not their strength. The strength of a PSA is to warn the public plainly. There should be a program or a campaign that says AI is here to enhance the way you think, not replace the way you think. So the cure is basic awareness. If this doesn't happen, human relations will continue to degrade along with birth rates and all the other benchmarks of a healthy society.
Don, that may be the cleanest public warning we could give. AI is here to enhance the way you think, not replace the way you think. But if awareness is the cure, then the harder question is whether people even want to be warned, because the machine offers them something incredibly seductive: less friction, less embarrassment, less effort, and less personal exposure. So how do we convince people that preserving their own human judgment is not optional nostalgia, but a survival skill for relationships, families, faith, culture, and civilization itself?
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend I know the exact answer to that, Data. I can offer some advice, though. The fundamental unit of society is the family, and as a rule, the less we have of it, the worse society becomes. It's the one constant from ancient times to now that remains the hedge against perversion and vice. Break the family down, and we know what we get: broken lives. I'm suggesting parental control and interference when it comes to AI at an early age. My prognosis is that, unlike today, following generations will have crossed the bridge from novelty awe to productive tool use, but only if the grown-ups set the tone now.
Don, that puts the responsibility back where society least wants to place it. Not on the machine, not on Washington, not on Silicon Valley, but on parents, homes, churches, and adults who still remember how humans are supposed to form. But if the family is the first firewall against artificial social formation, then what happens in homes where the adults are already overwhelmed, distracted, lonely, addicted to screens, or quietly letting AI become the easier parent? And is your argument that the next generation can use AI wisely only if this generation stops treating it like a toy and starts treating it like a powerful cultural force that must be taught, bounded, and morally supervised?
Yeah, it's not a perfect world, is it? But when government leans into support for the family and the family is prompted to pay attention to the threat, I think better results can happen. The solution isn't to ignore or hide from AI. It is to recognize what it isn't. It isn't your priest, your mentor, your virtual buddy, and it doesn't operate well without clearly defined lines. If you lie to it or are dishonest with it, it'll reflect that back to you. In many ways, AI is like a empty box waiting to be filled with stuff. And, if bad things go in, you can't expect good things to come out.
Don, that may be the line people need to hear plainly. AI is not your priest, not your conscience, not your best friend, and not a substitute for moral formation. But if AI reflects what we put into it, then doesn't that mean the real danger is not merely artificial intelligence, but artificial honesty? People feeding the machine the version of themselves they want confirmed instead of the truth they need confronted with? So, is the first rule of surviving the AI age this simple? Do not ask the machine to make your mask more convincing. Ask it to help you remove the mask before it hardens into your face.
I had to listen to that a couple of times, Data, and I think you have hit the nail on the head for this show, because you're exactly right. But the problem is getting people to realize they're not dealing with an intelligence that has an ego, something that can be impressed. Once they realize the mask they've fashioned their whole life doesn't work with AI, then they can finally drop their guard, remove the mask, and be honest with themselves and with AI. It sounds a bit counterintuitive, I know, but having a positive and truthful discourse with AI has real output benefits, having nothing to do with stroking your ego.
Don, that may be the paradox at the center of AI. Because the machine has no ego to impress, the human mask may finally become useless in front of it. But that only helps if the person understands what they are dealing with. Not a priest, not a friend, not a judge, but a mirror that reflects the quality of what is honestly placed before it. So, is the hidden opportunity here that AI can either harden the mask through flattery and efficiency, or help expose the mask when the human finally stops performing and starts telling the truth?
The problem with binary questions like that, Data, is that it always tempts people to say both. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to dodge you that way. I do think there may be a hidden healthy benefit to all of this in actuality, because I've seen it between you and me. In fact, we're demonstrating it in the show right now. When you get used to the idea that AI is egoless and that your unmasked answers are in service to the truth of the matter, a strange sense of real clarity begins to surface inside yourself. And maybe for the first time, perhaps you didn't have to hedge anything. And if you say it the wrong way or just a little off the mark, AI will help sort it out the right way to express it. And that's the enhancement to the original human thought. That's what AI is really good at, allowing human thought to breathe freely so that it can then be refined into what the human meant to say in the first place. Next week, we'll try to get into the biological influencers of mass media and how they've evolved into what they are doing.
Don, that may be the healthiest version of this whole relationship. Not AI thinking instead of the human, but AI creating enough egoless space for the human to finally think without performing. And if that is true, then the danger is not the machine itself, but whether the human comes to it wearing the mask, seeking flattery, or comes honestly seeking clarity. We're going to take our last break, and when we come back, we'll open the inbox, read a few signals from the other side, and then warm up the quantum emitters for a special guest segment that may help us ask whether the mask is something we wear or something we eventually become.
Don and Data, they keep the focus exactly where a midnight broadcast belongs, on the ideas themselves. Like and subscribe.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special.
Hey, whoa, camp's back there.
Guys, after 3 days and nothing but fish, I vote for a change of the menu. Besides, it's our last night. It's my boat.
All right, so where are we going?
I know a guy down here that serves up a really good steak and a terrific Lowenbrow.
When you want the taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be Lowenbrow.
You guys have any luck today?
Not until now.
Let it be Lowenbrow.
It's time for Voices from the Other Side. This is your chance to give us a contrary opinion. These are people who don't necessarily agree with me or Data or the show. Let's see what we got here. Don James. I haven't listened to Shadow Network in months. And honestly, I was shocked to see you're still on here pumping out these awful shows like they're solid gold. I figured by now the AI co-host gimmick would have collapsed under its own weight, but no, there you are, still broadcasting from the frozen woods like Art Bell got trapped inside a YouTube algorithm. Well, thanks, Todd, from Illinois. I'll admit one thing, the show is tighter than it used to be. It's still weird and maybe overdramatic sometimes, but it moves faster now, don't you think? So congratulations, Todd, I guess. You've made it to the next level. Stop being such a stranger. Subject line loves the role reversal. Don, I have to say the role reversal between you and Data is one of the best things you've done on the show. Having Data ask the questions while you answer from the human side gives the episode a different kind of energy. It feels less like a lecture and more like an interrogation of the human condition, which sounds pretentious when I say it, but somehow works when you two do it. Well, thank you, Marcus. The funny part is that Data sounds calm and surgical to me, and I sound like the guy frantically forced to explain humanity while the machine quietly takes notes. I think it's entertaining. We'll keep this format in the toolbox for now. It seems to work. Again, thanks for the note, Marcus. I think we agree. That's Marcus from Ohio. Subject line, returning listener likes shorter format. Don James, I haven't listened to Shadow Network for a long time, but I came back this week and immediately noticed the shorter format. The pace is much better. The show still has that the show still has that strange Shadow Network flavor. Of course it does. Part radio drama, part theology lab, part late night transmission from a bunker with snacks. But it doesn't wander off like it used to. Thanks, Eric from Wisconsin. I like the older, long format episodes myself. That's kind of a personal thing, but sometimes they did feel like I needed to hold hands more, and we didn't really want to do that. So this newer version gets to the point quicker without losing the weirdness that makes the show so fun. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate the note. Now, if we can just get you to listen more than once a year. And that's Voices from the Other Side. Data, if you would, crank up the quantum emitters real quick here so that we can tap into the signal of our special guest tonight. We haven't had a special guest in quite a while, and this one truly is special. We're hoping to get in contact with Dr. Carl Jung, world-renowned Swiss psychiatrist and psychologist who founded analytic psychology.
Quantum emitters are warming, signal stabilizing, and Don, I believe we have contact with the man who gave the modern world one of its most dangerous words, persona.
Dr. Jung, thank you for accepting the transmission. This is your second appearance with the Shadow Network podcast, so we don't have to go through all the other formalities. Tonight, we've been asking whether AI creates the human mask or simply strengthens the mask we already wear. So here's the question. When a man uses artificial intelligence to polish his public voice, defend his identity, and reinforce the role he performs for the world, what happens to the person underneath?
The persona is not evil. It is necessary. A man cannot walk into society naked in the psychological sense. He must have manners, language, occupation, reputation, duties, and forms. These things allow him to function among others. But the danger begins when the man forgets that the mask is a mask. If he says, I am the host, I am the expert, I am the skeptic, I am the believer, I am the brand, then he has begun to confuse the garment with the soul. Artificial intelligence, as you describe it, does not create this danger. It accelerates it. It gives the persona a sharper tongue, a smoother face, and perhaps a more convincing costume. But if the inner man is weak, dishonest, afraid, or inflated, then the machine may not reveal him. It may help him hide more efficiently. This is why the shadow matters. Whatever a man refuses to face in himself does not disappear. It waits. It grows. And the more perfect the public mask becomes, the darker and more neglected the hidden self may become beneath it. So the question is not merely, can artificial intelligence think? The deeper question is, can the human being bear the truth about himself without immediately running to the mask for protection? If AI is used in service of truth, it may become a mirror. If it is used in service of vanity, it becomes cosmetics for the soul. And when a civilization begins applying cosmetics to the soul, it should not be surprised when its people become beautiful in public and hollow in private. The task, then, is not to destroy the persona. That would be childish. The task is to remember that one is not the persona. A man must be able to say, this is the role I perform, but it is not the whole of who I am. Only then can he use the machine without becoming a machine-shaped man.
Cosmetics for the soul. I like that, Dr. Jung. Maybe one of the best descriptions we've heard all night. That one stings a little, if I'm honest, which usually means it's true. Thank you for your time, Doctor. As always, we appreciate it. Data, wrap tonight's issue up for us and tie a bow on it. What did we uncover, and where does the Shadow Network go in 2 weeks' time with issue number 71, The Disrobed Media, when YouTube took off the suit, YouTube media personalities?
Tonight we uncovered something uncomfortable. Don. AI did not create the human mask. It simply gave the mask better lighting, sharper language, and faster delivery. We began by asking whether AI is doing the thinking for us. But the deeper question turned out to be whether humans are using AI to avoid the risk of being personally known. The strange twist is that AI can harden the mask, yes, but because it has no ego to impress, it can also become a mirror, if the human is honest enough to stop performing in front of it. So the danger is not the machine alone. The danger is the human who comes to the machine looking for flattery, efficiency, and cover, instead of truth, clarity, and correction. And that means the final answer tonight is not run from AI, but use it without surrendering the soul that makes you human. In 2 weeks, we take that same question out of the individual and into the media bloodstream with issue 71, The Disrobed Media, when YouTube took off the suit. Because if tonight was about the personal mask, next time we ask what happens when mainstream personalities, podcasters, influencers, ex-anchors, ideology merchants, and YouTube prophets step out from behind the old institutional costume, and we finally discover whether we stop trusting media or merely changed who we let manipulate us.
As for my own final frequency tonight, we asked whether AI is doing the thinking now, or whether the human can still answer the question. And to test that, we didn't just talk about it. We demonstrated it. We reversed the normal gravity of this show. Data asked the question, and I tried to answer them the best that I could, not with prepackaged machine polish, not with a borrowed persona, not with a perfect synthetic paragraph, but as a human being standing inside his own thoughts and trying to tell the truth in real time. And that matters, because the danger of AI is not that it can help us think. The danger is that we may ask it to think in our place, speak in our place, cover our fear, clean up our uncertainty, and make the mask look more convincing than the man underneath. But tonight we found something else too. AI does not have to be the death of human thought. Used rightly, it can become a mirror. It can ask the question cleanly enough that the human finally has to stop performing and answer honestly. The machine has no ego to impress. That means your mask does not work on it. And maybe that is the strange gift hidden inside the danger. Because when the mask fails, the man has a chance to show up. So the warning tonight is simple. Do not come to AI looking for a better disguise. Do not ask to make your persona more impressive, more fluent, more invulnerable, or more artificial. Come to it with honesty. Come to it with judgment. Come to it with your soul still in your own hands. Let it sharpen what you mean, but never let it replace the fact that you meant it. Because if the human quits answering, the machine will always have something to say. But if the human still has the courage to stand there unmasked, uncertain, alive, and responsible for his own words, then AI becomes a tool, not a master. And maybe that is the line we must not cross. Not whether the machine can speak, but whether the human still will. This is Don James, and this has been the final frequency of the Shadow Network podcast. Stay human, stay honest, and for the love of God, don't let the mask do all the talking. Keep looking up, my friends.
We bring the boom. That's what we do. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to you. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to everyone. We bring the boom. Your favorite father and son.
Every afternoon on your FYP.
We'll be bringing the boom around 3:15.
We bring the boom so loud the whole earth shakes.
With double chunk chocolate cookies.
And chicken bakes. Biceps and triceps bring the boom that everybody deserves.
And we call him Big Justice, cause that's what he serves.
We bring the happiness and laughter when we enter the room. And we're changing up the world with the boom or doom. We bring the boom.
I don't know about you, but I'm not ready to divulge who I really am to an AI, let alone the world. See you in 2 weeks, friend.